Roblox is one of the most popular platforms for gaming in recent time, averaging dozens of millions of players daily due to the large variety of games hosted on it. One of the most successful games on the platform in recent times is an unassuming game simply titled Dandy's World. You've undoubtedly heard of this game before, or have at least seen a few of its characters out in the wild. Its popularity has been explosive, with the game accumulating roughly 2.5 billion visits in a little under a year, roughly placing it in the 50 most popular Roblox games of all time, more popular than games like Pet Simulator 99 or Epic Minigames, the latter of which being around for almost a decade. Despite its explosive popularity, Dandy's World is one of the most hated games on the internet right now, largely due to its populated fandom made up primarily of people under the age of 16. While the positive attention is definitely majority, the game's detractors are very loud and very influential with their opinions. But why exactly is this thing so hated when it seems so innocent? Why is Dandy's World so despised, and does it possibly deserve to be as hated as it is? Well, friend, I'm here to answer all of those questions and more. I want this video to serve as somewhat of a deep dive into Dandy's World, the actual game and critique of it, the controversies, the fandom, the lore, and otherwise anything I may find interesting, notable, or just a little bit funny. The honest truth is, I've been somewhat enthralled by Dandy's World lately, and the only way my brain knows how to hyperfixate on something is by spending hours of my life writing about it, and then spend hours more recording and uploading my ramblings so it can then be reached by all of you. You're welcome. Or not. Sorry. If you don't want to be here. I don't actually know if you like me. Either way, grab yourself a nice heaping handful of strawberries and shrimp, because today we're stepping straight into Dandy's World. Psst. Hey you. This video is sponsored by War Thunder. War Thunder is a free-to-play large-scale multiplayer action game allowing you to take command of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships. You can engage in intense, dynamic battles using your military vehicle of choice, ranging from biplanes and armored cars of the 1920s to modern tanks and fighter jets. Combat in War Thunder is comprehensive and immersive, the realistic graphics and authentic sound design placing you right at the helm of these powerful war machines. And with 3 distinct modes ranging from fast-paced arcade-style action to simulator mode, ditching all guardrails for the ultimate challenge. However you choose to play, you'll find it here. In War Thunder, you can enjoy a worldwide community of over 70 million players in epic PvP battles today. With an unmatched wealth of high-quality content to discover, there's simply no game better suited for fans of military history. Trust me, my editor is a huge military history buff, and he has been addicted to this thing. And with the new mobile version, War Thunder is now playable wherever you go, featuring intuitive controls, impressive graphics with the familiar massive multiplayer warfare and dynamic ground and sea battles with air support, all available on iOS and Android. Now's never been a better time to hop into the action of War Thunder. Download for free on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox by using the links in the description. All new players and those who haven't played War Thunder in 6 months will receive some special bonuses: 100,000 silver lions, a special decorator Eagle of Valor, and more. And don't forget, you can also fully immerse yourself in the exciting battles in War Thunder Mobile. Download and play it for free on iOS or Android using the link in the description. Again, thank you so much to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Dandy's World was created on January 26, 2024 by Quelver under Blush Crunch Studio on Roblox, though the game wasn't public until the alpha release on June 14th. It's described as a mascot horror survival multiplayer game and is directly inspired by Bendy and the Ink Machine with its art and design, and Dead by Daylight and Identity V with its gameplay. This is probably one of the few mascot horror games that I've ever seen actually call itself mascot horror. It's also not really that much mascot horror. It's kind of hard to tell, I don't know. The gameplay loop is simple but effective. Select from a colorful cast of cartoon characters, dubbed toons, and see how high of a floor you can go to without dying to the game's enemies, known as twisteds. To continue to the next floor, the players must extract from machines around the map by performing an embarrassingly easy skill check. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The game is easy to learn, hard to master, as though anyone can pick up and easily play so long as they are over the age of 4, which most Dandy's World players actually aren't, so there are a few more complicated terms and strategies to help players get past higher floors. Each character, or toon, has a unique set of stats and abilities. While there aren't any classes or categories to the roles each toon plays, there are typically 3 main quote-unquote roles that more serious players look for when playing. Extractors, who focus on completing the machines, distractors, who focus on distracting the twisteds from other players, and general supporters, who help typically by healing or giving buffs to other players. There are different items you can equip to give your toon a specific build, per se, known as trinkets. Essentially, if you're using a toon as a distractor, you would equip trinkets that increase your walk speed. The gameplay of this game, as simple as it is a large reason why it's been so damn popular. It's easy enough for younger people to understand, but still offers a genuine challenge in later levels. The different fan-made terms and roles keep the community alive and talking, but are also a contributing factor to the game's biggest downside. That being one that isn't even entirely the developer's fault. Dandy's World, despite seeming like a game meant for toddlers to drool over while mommy gets plastered, is incredibly beginner-unfriendly, meaning if you were to just pick up the game, it'd be pretty hard for you to understand certain things invented by the community that prove useful for communication. Not to mention the fact that newer players are often barred off from joining certain lobbies that exclude starter characters, so most of the time you'll be on your own. Upon joining a Dandy's World lobby, you'll be greeted with people attempting to group up to play the game together. Typically this is done by saying something along the lines of ABC for blank run, and then people will stand next to them or type ABC to signify their interest. There are a lot of fan-made names for different runs. Main hunts, dandy runs, vintage runs, pro runs, main-only runs, shipping runs, mastery runs, pregnant runs, big back runs, fucking mustard runs. There are a lot of terms that are completely made up, and the community expects every single person playing the game to know exactly how to use them and when to. Because, you know, usually they do know, somehow. They all know. It's a hive mind. Community terms are used quite frequently in actual games as well. Terms such as GTE, EAE, band, med, prime, pop, Ellie, broken Ellie, Roger, babysitting, a lot of things that would confuse you on your very first round. Aside from just general community and ball knowledge, a lot of players will be really mean to you if you don't know what you're doing. So hey, here's my official lightning quick guide to Dandy's World terminology to prove my credibility. A normal run is a normal game. A dandy run is a run where you don't buy from dandy. Basically, everything else like main hunts, long runs, pro runs, it just means don't die. Be good at the game. GTE means go to elevator, meaning all of the machines are almost done and the players must return to reach the next floor. EAE means everybody is at the elevator. Band means bandage, a healing item, and is a way to signify that a bandage has been found on the map. Med is similar, meaning medkit, a healing item that heals 2 hearts. Prime or priming is when somebody gets a machine almost to completion but not fully. This is also sometimes referred to as prepping. Popping is when the primed machine gets completed. Ellie means elevator, and broken Ellie or fake Ellie or anything similar means broken elevator, a location on the map that is typically the furthest from the elevator. Roger refers to when twisted Roger is on the floor, meaning that if you pick up a suspicious looking capsule, you'll get hurt. Babysitting refers to when twisted glisten is on the floor, meaning someone has to stay near him or babysit, so he doesn't crash out. There are many more terms, but as far as I'm aware, those are the essentials. Now you have what it takes to go be a Dandy's World pro. Go off, show the other players what you're made of, my child. A lot of the time, people will specifically ask to play with people who aren't new, or if you're playing as a starter character, they won't let you play with them. A lot of the time, this just leads to genuine bullying of children because they aren't good at the game, which I think is a bad thing? I don't know. Sometimes bullying children is a little bit funny. Aside from the actual gameplay, though, what exactly is the story of Dandy's World? This game has such a strong community with so many pieces of fan-created works, you would think the lore is super deep, interesting, and easy to follow. But it's kind of just an afterthought in terms of the actual game. See, unless you were looking for information on purpose, you really wouldn't have any idea what the hell is going on in Dandy's world story-wise. Why are we playing as cartoon characters? Why are we extracting these machines? What's up with the elevator? What's up with this gay-ass flower? What are the twisteds? What do all these posters mean? There are a lot of questions that I'm sure most people only know the answers to because they looked it up. As the game is a self-described mascot horror, it makes sense that the storytelling is pretty convoluted, as there isn't really a particularly clear timeline of events. However, there is enough information to form a general understanding of a story. Dandy's world primarily revolves around a place known as Garden View, an educational center and museum created by two important people, Arthur Walton and Delilah Keene. And yes, this one is actually called Delilah, not Delia, unlike some other bitch. We don't have the exact date of Garden View's opening, but it likely opened in the late 80s, suggested by a personal loan application dated back to October 4th, 1984. Once again, the game is a mascot horror, so I'm sure you can guess the general plotline surrounding the toons themselves. Various cartoon characters were designed by Arthur and handed over to Delilah to somehow bring to life in order to be the main selling point of the Garden View Center. They refer to these experimental toons with code names such as L001 being Dandy. In 1988, we can see the toons after their creation, settling into their environment. The toons were eventually assigned handlers, known as the Toon Handlers, 5 different human employees assigned to specific characters likely to maintain a caregiver or trainer role with said toon. Devin Reed is assigned to Dandy and Pebble, Austin Russo is assigned to Astro, Sam McLaughlin is assigned to Sprout, Shannon Mendes to Shelly, and Veronica Hurley to V. It is unknown how well the toons were treated by their handlers aside from Shannon, who seemed to have held a genuine friendship with her designated toon. However, there very well could have been some mistreatment of certain toons as shown through the holiday toons. The holiday toons are characters that are added for a specific event. Currently, there are only 4 holiday toons, all being the Christmas event toons. I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be an Easter update soon as I'm writing this. I don't know if this video will come out after that drops, but yeah, there will probably be more holiday toons. So, there's a note explaining that the holiday toons tend to isolate themselves when it isn't around their assigned holiday. While Arthur showed concern over this, Delilah assured him that it was likely a good thing, and it would save resources to not have to take care of them. Not exactly a good idea to mistreat your mysteriously created mascot characters. There are really not many ways that can go. Eventually, there was a mysterious incident that has yet to be explained, resulting in the center's closing on June 29th, 2002, due to recent allegations and lack of safety regulations. In the newspaper revealing this, there's some scratched out information likely related to the toons. Aside from the Garden View Center following the place's construction, a television series featuring the Garden View characters was created, this show being titled Dandy's World. The earliest known date of the show running is on December 25th, 1990, and the latest being July 29th, 2002. So it's likely this latest episode never made it to air, meaning that it would be in-universe lost media, which is actually kind of funny. That's creative. I like that. Because the real-life toons existed before the show's creation, it's likely the actual toons did voice acting or something similar for the show. The show seems to mess with their memories, however, as despite some characters acknowledging the show's existence, others seem to recall events happening in the show as their own memories, seen through characters' interactions with each other. Now, the toons are pretty heavily implied to be created from a substance known as ichor. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ichor is this black goo stuff that players can obtain and use as in-game currency, and is also what we are extracting from machines in the game. We can see that the creator of the toons, Delilah, is covered in ichor in her portrait. Ichor causes toons to transform into the twisteds, although we aren't sure particularly why. It is most likely, however, that too much ichor being used to create a toon can cause them to become a twisted. In a note from Arthur to Delilah, it's implied that the transformation of toons to twisted is something that they witnessed firsthand. The note reads as following: Delilah, we need to talk. I know you've kept reassuring me that what had happened wasn't due to anything you had done, yet I feel as if we still need to talk about this. You had to have known this could happen to him. You had to have known that this was even a possibility. If you did, why didn't you tell anyone? Why didn't you tell me? Something like this doesn't just happen. The subject of the note is likely referring to Dandy, but that's just a hunch for many people as he is the main character, and is also the only toon that is implied to have the ability to transform in and out of a twisted state. See, in-game, in between elevator floors, Dandy will sell you various items to aid you in your journey. However, if you don't buy from him 3 times in a row, there's a chance for Twisted Dandy to spawn on your floor and hunt you down. Because this asshole is a greedy little pig. He's big and greedy. After you encounter Twisted Dandy, however, Dandy goes back to normal in his shop and doesn't appear pissed off at all. Then, of course, there's the ichor operation. This is something that has been mentioned, but no one really knows much about. The only thing we know about the ichor operation is, well, that's what it's called, and it's also being ran by Dandy. Dandy. It's possible the E-core operation is what we're experiencing in-game, when we extract E-core from machines. It's theorized that we're doing this as some kind of power source now that Garden View isn't being ran by humans, as we know the Toons reside in the center and live their lives there even after its closure. The Toons have rooms to sleep in, common areas to use, and even seem to survive off of food, or at least can consume it. So it would make sense for the E-core operation to be some sort of power source that Dandy started. Most things lore-related in Dandy's world are left up to fan interpretation and theory. As though we have bits and pieces of a story, there are still many, many unexplained events. However, I think it's important to know that the game is still in an alpha state, and hasn't even been officially out for a year yet. More lore is constantly being uncovered with new updates, so I'm sure we'll learn a lot more with time. There are a lot of facts and tidbits story-wise that I didn't cover, mainly because I encourage you to go find some theories and fan explanations of your own. As even though the story is absurdly simple and formulaic, there are a lot of really interesting fan theories that make it much more engaging. Alright, so you know how to play the game, and you know the general story. You're basically a Dandy's World pro by now. It's probably your favorite game in the whole world. Well, I'm about to ruin your mood, because now I'm going to talk about all of the bad things in the game. Whoa, he's gonna talk about the controversy? Wow, he's really brave. He's gonna talk about rocks? If he doesn't talk about the drama immediately, I'm going to unsubscribe. I'm into fat bitches. No, not the controversy, not the drama. Not yet, at least. I specifically want to talk about aspects of the game that need proper critiquing. Okay, I say that I want to talk about it, but I'm lying actually, because I'm very bad with words. That's why I'm super grateful for today's sponsor, my friend Eve. She gave me $2 and a Dream U2s, and she made the thumbnail, so yeah. Hi, Eve.
Hello, everyone. While it's embarrassing to admit as a second-year college student who aspires to go to Harvard and make homunculi, I like Dandy's World. As someone very interested in child development and psychology, it's no surprise that kids have this curiosity for things considered grown-up and taboo. This is especially true considering that it's hard to find a piece of kids media that isn't overly sanitized or patronizing. It's so easy to complain about horror for kids, but it's also important to acknowledge how hard it is to find kid-friendly spaces nowadays. Roblox, while intended as a kid space, is especially infamous for its low moderation and, everybody knows the rancid reputation that has accumulated in the past few years. My biggest praise for Dandy's World comes from someone that is now an auntie, has been a big sister, and was once a FNAF-obsessed kid. I love this game, not only for its charming characters, but for the fact that, aside from the community, it has proven to be a perfect outlet for kids who enjoy horror. It manages to stay kid-friendly while being scary enough to appeal to their curiosity about the macabre. However, I've taken enough game design classes to know that the game's longevity is at stake. Many questionable design and balance decisions are unhealthy for the game long term. The greatest example is how beginner unfriendly it is. This is not only made worse by the community, but the starters don't teach you much about the game. The two starters, Poppy and Boxton, really fail to teach the fundamentals of Dandy's World. Poppy's ability, for one, gives her a 50% speed boost for a few seconds when she's attacked. I'd argue that this should be a universal ability that most Toons have. I can't be the only one who's gotten into a situation where I've exhausted all my stamina and cooldowns while I'm completely swarmed by Twisteds wanting to tear me to pieces, only having to wait on their hit cooldowns before the inevitable game over screen. Making Poppy's ability universal would allow for a fighting chance in these situations, and make the game less punishing for players inexperienced and distracting. Boxton, on the other hand, just has a passive stat boost, gaining 6% more extraction speed for every alive Toon in the round. I genuinely don't understand how forcing a Toon to rely on the survivability of his teammates teaches anything besides, "My teammates suck and keep dying." His ability would also be better as something universal to all Toons. It would help speed up the early game and prevent the fatigue that kicks in after floor 15. Unless some severe reworks were made to both characters, I feel like Tisha, Brightney, and Cosmo would be the best starters. Not only are they beloved by the community, but I feel like their kits do the best job at teaching the fundamentals of distraction, extraction, and support. While I understand that these games weren't made with these metas in mind, the best thing a game developer could do is adapt to the ways their games players like to play things. This chains into my next point. We're gonna talk all about balance. I'd like to preface by saying that I'm a Brightney main who plays Ginger whenever the team needs a healer. The former is quite infamous for being a Walmart V, that people only play for V's unlock requirements. I can see what Quell intended with the play boring Toon to unlock special sparkly main Toon system, but I don't necessarily like it. It works in cases like Tisha and Shelly. Both are support characters that have similar play styles but conform to different niches. Tisha is a distractor support with the ability to speed boost teammates, while Shelly is an extractor support that gives an extraction buff to people in her radius. It also works with Sprout and Cosmo, who, despite basically having the same ability, are even more powerful when they can bounce off of each other's heals. However, Brightney is the biggest example of where this system fails. I feel like she was deliberately designed as a worse V. She's infamous for her low stealth and extremely situational ability, and while the low stealth adds a higher skill cap, she doesn't have the appropriate stats to make up for it. She has 4 stars in both extraction and stamina, and I understand that Distractor Brightney has long been a thing, but I feel like there are better ways to increase her survivability. Even if she's my favorite, she's objectively not as rewarding as other characters, and that's something I live with because I find her character extremely appealing. Each character is bound to be someone's favorite, and I feel like that's a given. Case in point, we're going to talk about Shrimpo. Despite being one of the most popular characters in the Dandy's World fanbase, he's downright unplayable. All of his stats are 1 star, his stealth is in the negatives, and the only thing he's good for besides being a joke character is challenge runs or hacking. I, too, was shocked to learn that people hack in Dandy's World. Aside from that, no one plays him. No one really can. Like starters, some run hosts will not even allow him in their games. I genuinely think he's deserving of a rework. Shrimpo deserves to be as playable as any other toon, and his fans deserve to express themselves by playing him. If Quell wants to implement a joke toon or challenge, nothing is stopping her from making it into a separate game mode. I just think it's not fair or healthy to make a fan favorite character so objectively awful. Ultimately, I don't see the need to keep some toons weak. Yes, I understand wanting to push people to grind for the mains so you can retain player engagement, but player engagement is retained just as easily through game modes, cosmetic, and late game rewards. Dandy's World has a very fun gameplay loop, but it's just that. A gameplay loop. There needs to be more incentive to play long term besides collecting toons and setting records. I would love to see some alternate game modes implemented to give players more time with their favorite characters and allow for run customizations. This game is best when you have friends to play it with, so that idea should really be catered to. Before I make my leave, here are some things I would do if I were Quell. Rework Bobbette, Finn, Brightney, Poppy, Scraps, Toodles, and Buxton to optimize their gameplay experiences. Adjust the UI and visual cues because my goodness, was it hard to tell when the Twisteds were chasing you. Add accessibility settings, this should be a given. Add customizable runs and a new lobby system similar to Apeirophobia. Redesign Twisted V, give Astro some sucks and a nice glass of milk. Remove Glisten from the game. Add Pink Connie. Make Louie the mascot of the game. Shoot Glisten dead behind a Walmart at 4:38 in the morning. And that's that. Thanks, Quinn.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about the drama now. Yes, of course, the biggest reason for Dandy's World's detractors hating games so much also happens to be the most valid argument against the game and its creators. Please note that I'm not going to get into too much detail with this situation out of respect for the many victims, 2 of whom I consider good friends. I think the YouTube drama commentary scene can be really exploitative, and I don't want to commentate on the real trauma of real people just for more engagement. I'm simply going to give a rough explanation of the situation for anyone who may not already know. There are plenty of resources available for the full in-depth story, but this video is not about that. Thank you. Blush Crunch Studios was primarily a 2-man show, being created by Quelver, who I mentioned before, and co-creator Rock Serpent, also known as Box Boy Jakers. Rox had been an active member in the Roblox community, being involved with games such as Data Brawl and Tower Heroes. Rox always had a history of speaking inappropriately to people much younger than him, such as speaking about sexual topics in detail with a 13-year-old at the age of 17. He denies this as grooming in a similar way to a situation like Cinebaro 3, where technically there was no intent to actually solicit the other party. Whether or not something like this is considered grooming isn't really important, because regardless, it's still weird, gross, and if you disagree, I'm killing you in real life right now. Rock soon left this community and migrated to the Tower Heroes community, where he would create NSFW artwork of characters from the game, some of which being minor characters, or even minor characters engaging in acts with adults. A lot of this artwork was also stated to be based on people he knew, people who were minors, and although Rox was still 17 at the time, he was mere days from being 18, and was definitely old enough to know better. This behavior is typically thought to be wrong by most people over the age of 12. Rox's friend group at the time definitely encouraged this behavior, however some of those friends were as young as 15 when Rox had turned 18, and yet he still found it appropriate to share his ugly-ass lolicon art in these circles. Imagine drawing weird shit like these and not even looking good. Pick a fucking struggle, man.
I want this nigga hung by jumper cables.
Rox would continue to draw NSFW based on real minors, a habit that remained prevalent throughout his online career. Rox would create inappropriate artwork of a 15 and 14-year-old out of spite. Real Eric Cartman behavior here. You know it's bad when you can fucking relate to that guy. Even after turning 20, Rox acted inappropriately with minors, so he couldn't even hide behind the excuse of knowing them when he was still a minor, or the age gap only being 1 or 2 years. One of my very good friends and their partner were sexualized by Rox while he was in the Tower Heroes community, and while they were both minors, so you'd best believe I have a personal vendetta against this absolute degen. When Dandy's World began to see some traction in June of 2024, a document was posted detailing Rox's history of extremely inappropriate behavior. Rox would post multiple defenses throughout his time online, but none could compare to the hour-long response posted in July of 2024, in which Rox ends the apology with a picture of his dead cat, claiming the people harassing him and the situation never gave him time to mourn her loss. Brother, shut the fuck up. That cat is looking down at you from heaven, happy as hell she doesn't need to be taken care of by a Roblox CP artist anymore. An animal's death is always a tremendous loss, but to shove it at the end of your response to grooming allegations in order to garner sympathy is absurd. Let it be known that in many situations, Quell had been defending Rox from the accusations and sheltered and platformed him. People began to claim that Quell herself was actively complicit, and had been genuinely attempting to harbor a groomer. In Rox's final response video, Quell even has a segment in which she claims she genuinely believes that Rox has changed as a person, and wouldn't be working with him if she didn't. Even before the whole situation blew up, my friend assured me that Quell very likely did not know the true extent of what Rox had done. Rox had been manipulating the narrative to Quell for years, altering screenshots and cherry-picking information. This is something that is extremely common in situations such as this, and Quell should not at all be put on blast or attacked for the situation. In situations like these, in the outrage, we often forget our sense of humanity and empathy. If an extremely close friend and business partner of mine was accused of such behavior, I would subconsciously feel inclined to believe them if they had given me a narrative to prove their innocence, especially if most of the people spreading and believing these allegations also happen to be handling it immaturely, harassing you in the process. In fact, I have had multiple experiences like this before myself, and I still feel the guilt of them every single day. I've had friends who I had been told were horrible people time and time again, friends who had call-out posts and threads spread about, yet the narrative I was told by those friends was believable because I wanted to believe that they were good people. I found out the hard way that these allegations were even worse than I could have thought, and now I have to live with not only the knowledge that my protection of those people led to more and more people getting hurt, but also that those people are still sometimes thriving, earning thousands of dollars, getting thousands of subscribers and followers, and there's nothing I can really do about it if I want to protect my friends. That shit hurts, and I can only imagine how it impacted Quell, especially when Rox played such a big part of her studio, creating the character animations and models. On October 6th, 2024, Quell put out an official statement to the Blush Crunch Discord server announcing Rox's termination from the team. Last night, I received new information not brought to my attention until now. After discussing it with the staff, I've decided to fire Rox and he will no longer be a part of my community. Flavor Frenzy updates will be put on hold, as will Dandy's World updates, as I need to find new people to fill in Rox's shoes. I do not condone Rox's actions in any way, and I will try my best to move forward from this. I'm sorry for everyone that was harmed by his actions. Please keep server topics appropriate and respectful. Rules are still in place to ensure safety, and certain discussions are not for this space. Thank you for understanding, as this is a big adjustment for everyone involved. Thank you all for your patience and understanding as we move forward. Despite Rox's behavior and the impact that it had on Quell going forward, Quell clearly made an effort to remove Rox from the project completely, not just removing him from the team, but also replacing and reworking his animations and previous work. Objectively, you can critique Blush Crunch for having a groomer on the team for months. That is a completely okay thing to hold against the studio, and any games they have created. And it's also okay to not want to support the games or Quell yourself, but it's important to take into account that Quell is not only a victim of the situation herself, but is actively making an effort to correct her wrongdoings and remove Rox's involvement from the project. In the current moment, as it stands, Dandy's World no longer has problematic people working on the project. When you play the game, you are not monetarily supporting a groomer. You are allowed to like this game. You are allowed to hate this game. You are allowed to play it. It is fucking harmless. Unsurprisingly, I think the worst aspect of this game currently isn't actually anything to do with the game itself, more so just the infamous fandom, the following surrounding it, and of course the exploitative videos and content aimed at children. On the fandom front, there isn't too much to say that isn't simply a common byproduct of the internet in general. I can dog on the Dandy's World fandom for having some really weird people in it, for having a rampant amount of fetish content, or for general senses of immaturity, but at the end of the day, those are all things seen within every single fandom. I've always hated the argument of, oh, this thing sucks because the fandom is horrible, because I assure you, I guarantee you, you would not be able to find a single fandom that is 100% sunshine and rainbows. This internet shit isn't peaches and cream, it's full of children and people who like children. So of course, I can't really give a genuine critique of the Dandy's World fandom because unfortunately, in a fandom with literally millions of people, a few thousand or so people are going to be really fucking weird. However, we can still take a look through some funny things and have a good time. Now, because I know some of you are gonna be like, ugh, this is why we have to gatekeep Dandy's World. All these shitty YouTubers are pretending like they know our fandom. I feel like I should get something off my chest. I am a Dandy's World fan. Yes, I know, I have become the one thing I've sworn to destroy. But to all of the Dandy's World fans in my audience, I'm not a conformist poser, I swear on my life. I've written fan fiction, I've made ship art, and on any other day you wouldn't be able to waterboard this information out of me, but I've been told I need to practice rejection therapy. Okay, so, other than, you know, weird people, why is the Dandy's World fandom specifically so hated? Well, to answer that question, we'll have to go on a multi-hour-long journey through space and time, and bring back our findings to analyze children. It's children, that's why. When I say children, I don't just mean 8-year-olds, I mean teenagers too. Because, trust me, nothing is more scary than a 13-year-old with access to Twitter. The Dandy's World fandom has a lot of overlap with fandoms of a similar nature, most notably the object show community, which I would know nothing about. Both pieces of media aren't necessarily dumbed down for children most of the time, but are undoubtedly things consumed primarily by kids due to elements such as the character designs or humor. A lot of the time, fandoms like this will primarily be made up of 11 to 15-year-olds, because that's when people typically start actively using the internet, as much as they shouldn't be. So naturally, their first few fandoms aren't going to be grindhouse horror films, they're going to be stuff like Cookie Run, object shows, mascot horror, and of course, Dandy's World. So most of the actual immaturity of the fandom is pretty justified considering, you know, made up of kids. But another criticism I hear a lot, or more so a genuine question, is how the hell can people find these characters so attractive?
If only we could see her take wing.
Well, every single fandom has its weird, nasty side. Ones for fandoms like Dandy's World are particularly baffling because, you know, how do you look at this and go, well, you know, let's post him drawn as a fat and hairy man and call him Daddy because his name sounds like it. And no shame if you do that, genuinely, you're living your best life, and I kind of respect that. If anything, I'm trying to defend your line of thinking here. Kinda. See, I'm pretty certain in at least most cases, this happens simply because someone is so into something that it's kind of the main thing they think about. It's all they want to draw, all they want to write, whatever. And so a lot of the time, if people want to draw some freaky shit, they're gonna do it of whatever fandom they're the most into. Even if they have to jump through actual hoops to make it make sense. Looking at you, South Park TikTok fans. But yeah, more often than not, it just comes from being super hyper fixated on something. If you're really into big guys, then you'll want to draw Dandy as a big guy because he's your favorite character at the moment. No shade, draw what you want. And while I personally don't see any sex appeal in these fucking things, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really see it as anything weirder than finding someone like Freddy Fazbear attractive. Either way, I don't get it. As long as you're doing this stuff with adults in adult spaces, I don't care, but if you make weird shit like this and put it in places where children can easily see, because objectively Dandy's World attracts children, then I hate you, and you should go die.
Go fuck yourself. And then go die.
Of course, as with anything brightly colored and beloved by children, Dandy's World has been the subject of many get-rich-quick schemes. You know, you've got your content farms, your bootleg plushies, your children's supplies scams, just all that good stuff. I kind of want to specifically highlight a quote-unquote content farm in this video because me and my friends are kind of obsessed with them, and it seems like they have a pretty decent audience of actual teenagers who love their stuff and post about it on TikTok. That being the one and only Tooniverse Creations. Tooniverse Creations is just exactly what it looks like. It's an account made up of short 2D rigged animations with Dandy's World characters, and it's honestly super harmless. There isn't any over-sexualization, the characters are similar to the way they are in the game, and while their traits are often exaggerated, they're all in good fun. The only reason I bring up Tooniverse Creations is because I actually have a simple request. See, the only thing I can really hound Tooniverse for is their usage of AI, specifically AI-generated voices for the characters, although they're just the CapCut text-to-speech voices. There are a few characters that are voiced by actual people, so they're definitely open to accepting actual voice actors. So, Tooniverse Creations, if somehow you are seeing this, or if the word has been spread to you, please, please let me do voice acting for you. I'm on my hands and knees begging. I can voice any character you need me to for no pay whatsoever, actual scraps. I am simply a passionate creator wishing to aid you on your journey. I have a demo reel if you want it, just please, please! Wanna know my favorite part of media that gets really popular? The bootleg plushies. Behold, my collection. Yeah, some of these are actually pretty high quality plushies, especially for the prices I got them at. Others are concerning, but compared to a lot of other bootleg plushies for other fandoms, they're not that bad. Surprisingly, the dandy ones are always the most scuffed, but the shrimpo ones are close to perfect. Genuinely, these look official. Quell is aware of the existence of these bootlegs, and unsurprisingly isn't happy about it. You know, these are her characters, and they're being stolen and merchandised. Not to mention the scummy practices of most people manufacturing these anyways. There is official Dandy's World merch, however, all we've gotten so far are these mystery clip plushies featuring the starter characters, the mains, excluding Bobette and I guess the new one, and Dandy, who was a rare find. The quality of these are fine. I don't know what they're like to actually have in person, but judging from product photos, they're still a little scuffed in some places, especially Astro. But as someone who's worked with plush manufacturers, I understand that sometimes they may not allow you to make as many revisions as you would like. This Dandy is definitely better than the bootlegs. There was also supposedly a Dandy plush planned at Makeship, but it was cancelled due to Makeship finding out about the allegations and not wanting to collaborate anymore. This was before Rox was taken off the team, so there's no way of knowing if these will ever come back in the future. Aside from bootleg merchandise, however, there are also people attempting to capitalize off Dandy's World in other ways, by making copycat games, either on Roblox or, of course, on the App Store itself. While most of the actual games are on Roblox, there are still a few really funny apps I'd like to mention that you can download on your very own mobile device. I don't have an Android device, unfortunately, but there were still some golden finds on the App Store. You got your average stolen art coloring apps, your stolen art wallpaper apps, but you've also got Roblox World of Dandy. I can choose from 3 characters, okay. Boxton, Poppy, or Dandy. Well, obviously I want to play as Dandy. Okay. This is good gameplay. Well, at least I can play as Dandy now. That's something you actually can't do in the original game unless you're a developer, so this could be a pretty good alternative to the actual game. Extractions are the same, the map is the same, but worse. There are still research capsules, you just can't pick them up at all. The Twisteds are very smart, and hey, there's even music when you're spotted. Well, at least it's something. But don't worry, we still have Horror Box Sprunky X Dandy. I've never actually played Sprunky, so I have no idea what to do here. Is this the whole game? How do I make them scary? Aren't they supposed to be scary? In Sprunky, you can make them scary. How do I make them scary? How do I do it? So Horror Box Sprunky X Dandy was a bust, but we still have some games on Android to take a look at, thanks to the help of my editor who does have an Android device. Yay! Starting off strong, we have Dandy's Run World, a personal favorite of mine. This one is just a horrible reskin of a Subway Surfers clone that seems a bit insensitive. I'll just let you take a look at this gameplay for yourself. Okay, let's play something a little bit more satisfying. Dandy's Tile World. You guys aren't gonna believe this, but it's just another mobile game reskin that have Dandy's World characters in it. I do like the sound effects they play though. Those are good. Enough chat though. We have to save Dandy the world. In this game we have to utilize some strategy and save Dandy from the treacherous bees. God damn it, it's just a fucking reskin again. Randy's Rooms is the last on our list and is my personal favorite of the bunch. Aside from the one I played first, that one was good. This one is unique because it doesn't actually have any Dandy's World characters, instead opting for using its own original, iconic character designs. At first I assumed that the white text was their names, but I think it's the unlock requirements. I really did think the names were completed machines and horse milk drunk. Still not sure what banana slip means though. Anyways, Randy's Rooms is your standard Dandy's World clone, except you're being hunted down by iconic character Randy. The skill checks are more engaging than the actual game somehow, and you can hide in lockers? Okay, whatever. This isn't what matters, okay? What matters is the good stuff, over on Roblox, because some of these games have a concerningly large number of players. Okay, maybe it's nothing exponential, but still hundreds of people playing Sprunky World is hundreds too many. Sprunky World is probably the most aggravating of all of these Dandy's World inspired games. Not only is it the most low effort, it's also the most painfully in your face about what it is. A horrible Dandy's World clone. There was an update recently that added a few things that should have been in the game already, like the option to pick a starter character or, you know, a skill check on the machines. Before then, it was just you would stand at the machines for like 100 seconds. It was really good. Even if we ignored the beautiful AI art used to promote the game, the actual gameplay itself is beyond boring. Even if you enjoy the core gameplay loop of Dandy's World, Sprunky World is somehow even more simple and way more boring. It sucks. It's not good at all, and it makes me so mad. I don't even want to talk about it a second longer because there's nothing to talk about. It is really, really funny though. It would probably be funnier if I knew anything about Sprunky, but I don't. I think out of all of the Dandy's World inspired games I played, Crazy Skidlets was probably the most enjoyable. Not only do I really like the name, but the art style is more unique and is definitely trying to actually be its own thing instead of just being too derivative of a pre-existing property. It credits Dandy's World and Rainbow Friends for its inspiration, and you can definitely see that shine throughout the game itself. While looking through the shop certainly leads me to believe this is a very pay-to-win type game, something that Dandy's World surprisingly doesn't suffer from. That's honestly my biggest actual gripe with this game. It's decent fun to play with your friends, and I do quite enjoy the different levels you can encounter. The character animations are charming, and overall it's a pretty solid game, all things considered. I can't say the same, however, for the last game I checked out, Hugo's Asylum. Maybe I'm just biased because I think this game is ugly and I hate it, but Hugo's Asylum pisses me off. Probably because out of all of the blatant ripoffs or inspired games I played, this one I feel has the most potential. I couldn't tell you why I think that, but I feel there are some enjoyable parts and mechanics to this game. I like the way the maps look for the most part. I like the idea of a subway station being used rather than an elevator. I like the car. Dear God, why is there a car? I do like some of the puzzles for fixing the generator things or whatever. I think that's cool, and I wish the actual Dandy's World had more unique ways to fix generators. But dear God, it's so hard to like anything about this game when you can't understand what's happening half the fucking time. If Dandy's World is unfriendly to beginners, this game is fucking Kanye West to beginners. It feels like this game desperately doesn't want you to play it. When you're not being given 50 different status effects that blur your entire screen for 10 whole seconds, you're being blasted with actual screams of the damned and are forced to figure out what the fuck is going on. Which, I doubt you will. I didn't figure out what was going on. The sound design in this game is like a shitty Friday Night Funkin' mod. It aims to simply be as loud and confusing as possible, or even attempts to be downright comical when it doesn't fit at all. Like, be so fucking for real. That wasn't edited in. That's in the game. You can try it for yourself. And look, I understand that character design isn't easy. I don't know how to design characters at all, but some of these designs needed maybe more than 3 minutes in the oven, don't you think? Hugo himself is just bendy but bald and with a very concerning sense of fashion. But if that wasn't bad enough, we also have iconic character designs like Helena and a character who's supposedly named Frutina, but I don't know how I was supposed to know that because her name just doesn't fucking show up in the game, like at all. Apparently you can choose either her or iconic character Daniel to be your starter character, but I didn't get that fucking option, and neither did anyone else I played with. We were all forced to play this piss woman instead of my goat Daniel, you know, iconic character Daniel. And look at this motherfucker. Shroomy. Bitch, you will never be Shroomy, Alana. Pack your bags and leave! Sorry. Most videos I make, I try talking about things I actually like, so I don't really get to have any unbridled rage anymore, despite the fact that's all I seem to feel at all. I can't even remember the last time I was happy. Obviously no shade to the people creating Hugo's Asylum. If I had to assume, they're probably all quite young or inexperienced, and this is still leagues above like a good 90% of experience as put on Roblox, so all the power to you. Dandy's World also has a good amount of fan games or mods of the original game. Most popular Roblox games tend to have a few modded versions circulating, so it's really nothing unusual or insulting. I know the communities for a lot of these fan games or modded games can be really annoying at best and downright predatory at worst, but unfortunately with a community like this, it's to be expected. But hey, what matters the most at the end of the day is the actual Dandy's World game itself, right? And guess what? I was originally supposed to get this video out on the 18th, but something amazing just happened. Dandy's World dropped its new Easter event. Yay! I'll briefly touch on the contents added in this new event, but I have a deadline, so I gotta make this quick. The new update adds 4 brand new holiday tunes: Eggston, Coco, Flight, and a new main tune, Bassie. I think that's how it's pronounced. Bassie has the ability to not only hold 4 items, but also to drop items for other players. Honestly, I feel like her ability should be something that every toon has, but I don't mind it as much because I feel it gives her a unique role of like kind of hoarder of items. I haven't actually gotten her yet though, so Her stats are pretty interesting in the fact that she has 5-star speed and 4-star stamina, but also 4-star stealth, so even though she has the viable speed to distract, that stealth is gonna make her an interesting character to play. I'm definitely gonna be grinding for her, so make sure that in every lobby you go in, you make sure to say ABC for mustard run so that if I'm in the lobby, we can play together. Let me know how you guys are enjoying the new event so far. It's definitely a very, buggy patch, as shown through this game I played where I T-posed as Eggson the entire time, but I'm sure that'll be squashed out with time. I'm sure you saw this coming from a mile away, but I wanted to keep you here with me for as long as possible because I like your company and I like talking about things I like. But to answer my question, no. Of course Dandy's World doesn't deserve to be hated to the degree that it is. I don't think anything necessarily deserves to be despised unless its contents are inherently problematic. Dandy's World is incredibly popular right now, and with the new update, I can't really see that popularity going anywhere. I mean, it had almost 900,000 players today. That's insane. If you don't like it, great. No need to comment Dandy's World disrespect button on every piece of fan art you see for it. If you like Dandy's World, then great, more power to you. I like it too. You like shipping the characters even though they have like one interaction together? Me too. My favorite ship is Shelly and Shrimpo. I wish there was more art of them. You like drawing weird freaky shit with the Dandy's World characters? Okay. I don't do that, but good for you. This kind of hatred for a fandom happens all the time, and it's something new every other month. Don't let hatred blind you. If you see something you don't like, ignore it and move on with your day. If you made it this far into the video, let me know what you guys were doing in the background. I always love it when you guys tell me what you've been drawing. And I mean that. I read almost every comment and email I get about it. I know some of you have drawn freaky shit while watching my videos. Good job. Keep at it. As always, thank you to my patrons, and thank you to you for sticking around, even though I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just rambling for now. My next video will be more organized, I promise. Remember that it's always okay to like things that are deemed cringe or things that are hated, as long as you're happy and healthy. Never let someone else dictate whether or not you can like a dumb Roblox game. Until next time, keep it real. Again, thank you to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Play for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or mobile now by using my links in the pinned comment or description. New and returning players that haven't played in 6 months will receive a massive bonus pack across PC and consoles, including multiple premium vehicles and other goodies. Available for a limited time only, so make sure not to miss it.